Hi, and welcome to Nail Theory, Series 2 by Trieu London. In this topic, we'll be going over healthcare for skin and healthcare for nails. Now, it's a very short series. However, there are new terms that you will be unfamiliar with, which isn't quite common sense. So there will be a lot of mispronunciations, which I will write out to help you, and diseases and disorders that you need to be aware of, both in terms of what they are and visually in order to recognize them. So in this part one of the topic, we'll be going through contraindications, which is a word you might have heard throughout series 1 in your classroom or in a nail salon. And then second, we'll go over nail disorders in part 1 of this video, which we'll cover today. In the second part 2, which will be the next video, we'll be going over nail diseases and skin diseases and disorders. So let's start with contraindications. What this actually means, contraindication is something that is going to prevent or stop the nail treatment from being carried out. And that's it. It's as simple as that. One thing you need to be aware of in general is clients with diabetes. Some develop peripheral neuropathy, which means they lose sensation in their fingers and could basically result in the client not feeling you cut around the skin. Of course, if you're a normal client and nail technician cuts too much, pushes too much, then you'll shout or say that's painful, but you need to be aware of clients with this type of diabetes. When looking for contraindications, these are the following things you'll look for: cuts and abrasions to the skin, bruising, inflammation or swelling to the area, any recent scar tissue that's under 6 months, blisters, burns, sunburn, allergies. Where a client is diabetic, it's good practice to refer them to a podiatrist who specializes in this area. So that's contraindications done. The next part is nail disorders. So you'll generally come across clients and you need to advise the client on appropriate treatment and home care advice. It's important to note that nail disorders can actually be treated. So where a client comes in with a nail disorder, you can still continue with the treatment, and therefore it's not a contraindication. As I mentioned before, there'll be new and unfamiliar words and phrases. So let's start off with our first one. So this is one of the first nail disorders. It's pronounced pterygium. And what it is inward advance of the skin over the nail plate. Just generally to note, I haven't posted any pictures in the course. I thought it'll be useful that you actually Google your own pictures. So the reason for this is because pterygium can actually, or any other nail disorder or disease, can vary person to person. So looking at one picture might not justify, and you might not be able to calculate with 100% accuracy that it's this nail disorder or disease. It's worth looking at. So when you're going through this video, I say it's worth having a Google images open, simply paste in what it looks like. So pterygium nails. And this is what it will actually look like. So you're aware of pterygium. Okay, so let's exit out that. So as I go through each nail disorder and disease, please do that. Of course, highlight and make notes if you're working through the workbook with me, or freeze the video at any time to make and take down notes. So pterygium is the inward advance of the skin over the nail plate, usually a result of a trauma due to the matrix, due to a surgical procedure or deep cut in the nail plate. It results in the loss of the nail plate due to the development of scar tissue. Never attempt to remove pterygium. Instead, you should refer them to a physician for advice. The next nail disorder is damaged nails by MMA. So methacrylate. It's the liquid monomer used for acrylic nails by some unscrupulous salons. It's actually banned and prohibited by the FDA. So most nail salons should not be using this, purely because it's it's an ingredient that's very strong in terms of combining and reacting to the acrylic powder, but for your nail plate, it's believed to be too strong and actually quite damaging. So MMA nails are rigid and do not bend or have flexibility to break. So they're very strong in terms of to hold it, but that also means that when it does finally break, it can damage the natural nail. The next nail disorder is brittle or splits. So they can be split vertically or separation of nail plate layers at the free edge of the nail plate. In most cases, a nail splitting, especially vertical ridges, are characteristic of the natural aging process. The problem also occurs from overexposure to water and chemical solvents, such as household cleaning products. Always advise your clients to wear a glove when cleaning. Another nail disorder is bruised nails. So it's found underneath the nail plate due to trauma, and it's very important that you actually treat the client with care. The next disorder is hangnails. So usually this is small little skin just hanging off around the fingers or near the nail sides. You can usually use a cuticle nipper to sort this out. You'll suggest regular manicures to nourish the cuticles and skin. The next nail disorder is koilonychia or koilonychias, and that's how you pronounce it, koilonychia. And this is due to iron deficiency. So you should recommend vitamin replacement. Iron vitamins are very essential to help the growth. Remember, as we're going through these, please do Google images of what they actually look like. So next is pitting, so it's psoriasis or dermatitis, and you're recommended to have GP consent prior to any nail treatment, which is mentioned here. The next nail disorder is Bowes line, so it's pronounced Bowes like this, and it's horizontal ridges on the nail plate. So we looked at vertical ridges before. This is horizontal ridges. It's been be caused by illness or injury, for example, electric fouls or heart disease. So then we move on to the next nail disorder. Just a few more just to go to. So this one you pronounce lamellar dystrophy here. And it's basically flaky or dry nails due to overexposure to solvents. What basically has happened here is that the nail plate is lacking natural oils and causing dehydration. We'll suggest regular manicures with applying replacement oils and cuticle oils. The next disorder is onychorexis, so onychorexis, and basically they are brittle nails that often split vertically, peel, or have vertical ridges. So vertical ridges here, vertical peeling. This can actually be hereditary and use of strong solvents in the workplace or at home, including household solutions. You'll recommend the client to have a paraffin treatment to rehydrate the nail plate for this nail disorder. Last few, we have blue nail, and you should Google what that looks like, but it is a discoloration to your skull membrane, leaving it purplish blue, and that's caused due to poor circulation and lack of oxygen in the blood cells. Any customers that you treat with blue nail should be handled with care, as well as referred to a GP. The next nail disorder is pronounced leukonychia, so leukonychia. And these are basically air bubbles trapped under the nail plate due to minor trauma. So air bubbles trapped underneath the nail plate, and it's actually quite common. So it's very common. Always treat with care. So that's it for today's video in terms of contraindications and nail disorders. In the next video, we will be going over nail diseases and skin diseases. As mentioned before, this series in itself is very short. It's just a lot of unfamiliar nail diseases and disorders that you need to be aware of, need to know what they look like, and best to know how to pronounce them. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video where we cover nail diseases and skin diseases and disorders. Please comment, like, subscribe,